AMD is probably one of the more brilliant companies that I've seen from many perspectives. They're not perfect. They make a lot of mistakes. Oh my goodness, they make a lot of mistakes. In fact, sometimes they drive me mad because I was rooting for them back in the days of the FX, CPUs, when Intel was basically doing what they wanted. I said, nah, man, Team Red. I always like rooting for the underdog. It's just kind of my thing. It doesn't matter. If I see an underdog, I want to root for them because I understand that if the underdog can be, prosperous, and if they can overcome, they can tamper down the juggernaut. They can tamper down the one that wants to basically come in and screw you over. And thank God for AMD. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but man, you got to give it to this company. They are on one front fighting Intel in the CPU side, then on another front fighting in NVIDIA, and they were doing so for a long time, basically just hedging all of that, while they were at the same time making and manufacturing components for consoles. And then Intel came in with the GPU side, and then they slapped Intel again. And then they kept the GPU market for the masses still open till date. That's what I call a company. Even with their imperfections and the frustrations that we have with AMD, saying, AMD, you guys don't want to compete. You don't want to make GPUs on the high end and all that. Still, they have a value proposition that you just cannot beat. And nobody has really thought about how this proposition cannibalizes consoles. Do you know that it does cannibalize consoles? Because the same AMD that made that console, do you guys know how much it costs to actually manufacture the Series X? It costs $699. Let me show you guys an article where we can see the price. Here you go. Let me show you guys. Look at it. It says, such figures suggest that Xbox Series X costs in the region of $699 to manufacture, while it sells for just $499. $700. Give it a few years. And boom. For about $681, you can beat the Series S with ease. In fact, I changed this CPU in my last video. Let's go back to the CPU that I was on, which was the 5500 for $80. Let's now go back to our PC part picker list, and we are at $637. AMD, for some strange reason, is very smart. Now, do you know why the prices of a lot of these components eventually went down? Because if we click on these links, we're going to see that these particular CPUs at one point, they cost hundreds of dollars. Look at this video here. Look at the thumbnail of this video. The 5500 that I showed you guys for $80 just now used to be $150 MSRP. The 5600 I was showing you guys used to be about $229 MSRP. Now it's $124 as of today, $114 some days when it goes on sale. I've seen it as low as $112. So they are basically making better products, mass producing good products, and somehow basically driving prices all over the place down and down and down, giving the consumer multiple options to go ahead and just flex when it comes to building their PC. This has now somehow, in a sense, poured over into the whole console conversation, because now it's like, why am I buying a PlayStation 5 that is made of AMD components that is still wishy-washy when we try to look at what the difference is between Spider-Man and Spider-Man this? We can't tell you. We can't tell you. They're like, oh, look at that Spider-Man thing there. The difference is that when you actually look closely or zoom in, what? When I could just buy a device that I know is going to pretty much play Spider-Man at like 120 FPS, and I can buy it for the same price that they want me to buy the PS5 Pro for, and will more than likely run Wolverine at similar performance, because they're using the same engine to develop Wolverine, right? You know that, right? Like, if you just please think, ladies and gentlemen, help me think. Help me think. There's like, if you think about it, there's just no way this makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I might be crazy. You can build a PC right now and sit there, and then in 2020, whatever the heck it is, Venom and Meat Sack guy, what's Carnage, and Wolverine and X-Men comes out, and you'll be jamming to it with the computer that you built in 2024. Why? They'll use the same technology. They're not going to undercut you because they want you to buy the game. So they'll make sure that your hardware can play the game. They'll use underpowered hardware. They'll be watching very closely at the Steam, hardware survey. They'll be looking. And trust me, the Steam hardware survey right now is saying, hey, everybody's using a 1060 and a 3060. Don't go crazy with your games. They literally will have PCs with 1060s and 3060s inside of their studios as they're making the game. They create builds and run them on those devices and test the performance in there. That's how they're going to be doing it at Nix's and all these other places. That's how you do it. Guys, see, I eat Unreal Engine daily. What I'm talking about is not rocket science anymore. YouTube has pretty much kind of closed the gap for the most part. And some of us can see, oh, the inner workings. Oh, my goodness. So this is what's going on. Oh, because no longer is it a mystery anymore as to how you can optimize your games. Unreal Engine themselves, Epic Games themselves, they make content for their own community for you to be able to at least go out there and learn exactly what to do with your games to be able to get your games performing the way that you want. This is no longer a ruse. This is now reality. Look at it here. I'll open my library for you, but you're going to NDA me. So I'm not opening it for you. But we sit here and we make builds every Friday for a project. And we look at the frame data. We look at some stuff. We package it. It's insane. And no one's going to sit there and go make a freaking game that cannot play on some of the mid-range tier hardware today. And if you decide that, you know what, you would love to play these same games coming out down the road at bigger FPS and bigger resolution, then expect to start spending money. So at the end of the day, AMD has basically positioned itself in the market as a powerhouse. I think this is why Intel is trying, Intel's probably trying to get inroads with Xbox, because they want a little bit of some of that. And I would hope that Xbox does not go that route, because Intel has not yet solidified itself in terms of the GPU side. They've not given enough consumer confidence in that regard. It's still AMD and Nvidia, of which AMD now has basically a market space in the mid-range devices. Nvidia doesn't care about us. Nvidia is like all high and mighty, so they'll give you something in that mid-range, but and it's going to be good, but it's going to be Apple, good for Apple prices. When if you want the Android good for, the masses prices, you go the AMD route. So if you're a console gamer, you're probably wondering what's going on. It's very simple. If you want to come to PC, make the move. If you don't want to come to PC, it's fine. Stay on console. It's okay. Console's fine. They'll still continue making games for these consoles. They're not going to throw them aside. They'll still make cross-generation games because the hardware space is starting to dwindle. It is. In the next 4 years, they may sell 100 million PS5 consoles, but then they're going to be sitting there wanting to bring another, PS6. And then it's going to be the same hula baloo. Don't fall for that trap. It's just a marketing ploy. That's all it is. And you're going to see talking heads and mouthpieces who don't know what they're talking about, who don't know what they're saying, continue to tout nonsense and confuse and poison the well. But in reality, all you need to do is just pay attention and see who are the players. Look behind the veil. Open up your devices and you're going to see who's actually churning out the product. We've been telling you on the PC side and saying, hey man, if you really want what's real performance, get a PC. And yes, before you tell me in the comment section that you can't build a PC that's going to match, be quiet, please. We already built it on the Video Game 5 School channel. And thank you for your support. Those of you who watch these videos, I really appreciate it. Thank you for those of you who are willing to actually take a look at the data. I appreciate it. The fanboyism has got to stop and sensibility has to reign. We need to look at these things from a better perspective. What is this nonsense that we're getting where people are basically lying to everybody, telling them, oh, you got to spend $1,000 or I don't have to spend $2,000. Like, what are you talking about? man, I'm really hoping that this has really opened people's eyes, because it's going to be interesting at the end of the day. All right, I'm out. Thanks so much. Peace out.